So in this session, we'll be learning about Python file handling. Fine. So learning by doing. We all know that whatever we are learning, we till we are not implementing the concepts, we will not be able to understand what we have learned and how it is being done and what is the output. We were thinking some output, but actually that output is coming or not, actually the program is reacting like that or not. So that's why whatever the theoretical concepts you are learning, you should learn by doing. So the topics that we will be covering today in this session will be, so we'll be starting with Python file handling concepts, then working with the file object attribute, then how to open the file, how to append the text into the file, existing file, and then reading input with the input method, writing to the file objects by read and write method, then what are the Python file methods, closing the file by close method, then sending output to the STDIOUT using the print method, and using file processing functions from the OS module. So starting with file handling. So Python 2 supports file handling and allows user to handle files. That is, how to read the file, how to write the file, along with many other file handling options to operate on files. So we all have learned about file handling in number of programming languages. We talk about C language, C++, Java. So we all know how the file handling works in all these programming languages. And there are also the options of reading the file, writing the file, or other methods that to deal with the files. So the concept of file handling has stretched over various programming languages, but the implementation is either complicated or lengthy. So whenever we used to learn about the file handling, as these concepts come very later when we are learning the programming language, so we are a bit hesitant of using file handling concepts because these are a bit complicated or these are lengthy. So now we will see in Python, but like other concepts of Python, this concept here is also very easy and also very short. So Python treats file differently as text or binary, and this is very important. Each line of code includes a sequence of characters and they form text file. So when you are talking about text file, we know that sequence of characters are there. And each line of a file is terminated with a special character, and that special character is end of line. That is end of line characters, like we can have comma or new line character. So it ends with the current line and tells the interpreter. So now here interpreter tells the interpreter a new one has begun, new line has begun. So let's start with the concepts. Now we are moving towards working with file object attributes. A file object has lot of attributes. So we can use a list of all the methods and attributes of the file object, such as first we have the close method for closing the file. Next method, when a file is used as an iterator. So we have already seen the iterative methods like while or for loop, in which we are doing some iterations, right? So when a file is used as an iterator, suppose there is a lengthy file in which you have number of lines over here and you want to read line one by one, so it means this is iteration. We are moving in a line, we are moving in a loop in which we are reading line one by one. So when one line has been read and we want to move to the next line, right? So next can be used. So next method is called repeatedly in an iterator. So this method returns the next input line or raises a stop iteration when end of the file is hit. So when there is no line to read, so it will raise an exception that is stop iteration. So next iteration should not be there, because the file has already been ended. There is no line to be read further. Read, and inside the read you are putting some size option. So read at most these size of bytes from the file. Read line size, read one entire line from the file. Seek means something to search on, so the where the pointer to be taken. So set the file's current position, right? So suppose this is your text file, and this is the whole file content. You want the cursor to move here directly, so here you can see seek, so the position of this location. So then the cursor will be over here, so then this file reading will start from this position. Tell, return the file's current position. So it will let you know what is the current position of the file, from where it will start reading the file. Write, and what to write inside it. So str is there, right? So write a string to a file. Write files sequence, write a sequence of strings to the file, right? So these are some of the methods. Then we have file objects most used attributes. First is closed. We want to check whether the file is closed or open. So if we use the name of the file dot closed open close parenthesis, it will return you true or false. You want to know about the encoding of the file, you can use dot encoding, so it will return the encoding that the file uses. In which file, in which mode the file has been opened, so you will be using mode. So file.mode will return you the mode that has been written, that is read, write, append, and so on. So you want to know about the name of the file, you can use dot name. So if the file object was created using the open, the name of the file. So otherwise some string that indicates the source of the file object. So this is the output of that. So we'll be coming to these all in detail one by one. So starting with working of open function, how to open a text file. So otherwise we all have seen opening a file, writing a file, reading a file in most of the programming languages we have studied earlier. So we will be quickly recapping all those, and these are the similar kind of things. To open a file, you need to use the built-in open function. So this open function will be used for opening the file, right? So the open function returns, so what it is returning, it is returning a file object, because when we have opened a file, so we will be dealing with the complete file. So we need to have a file object with us to deal with, to use the methods related to the file object. So when you are opening a file, so it will returning you a file object, right? And that file object will contain methods and the attributes to perform various operations on the file. So let's see the syntax. So this is the variable, right? And here you are using the built-in function open, where you are providing the name of the file to be opened, and here with which mode you are going to open the file, right? So two attributes to be passed on, and this mode attribute is the optional one. So file name gives the name of the file that the file object has, and open mode means the attribute of a file object that tells you which mode a file has to be opened in, right? So we use open function in Python to open a file in the read or write mode. So read means you are just reading the file, write mode means you are something writing into it. So as we have seen that open will return a file object. So the open function will be returning us the file object. To return a file object, we use open function along with two arguments. Fine. That accepts the file name and the mode, whether to read or write. So the syntax being, you are using the function open for opening the file. You are providing first argument as the name of the file to be opened, and second is in which mode you want to open the file. So we will be looking at number of modes for opening the file. So this is how we are doing this. This is the again the variable. This is the function for opening the file that we have used, and this is the absolute path you have provided for the file where your file is located on the PC, and this is the mode of the file, right? So this is how now this is returning you the file object. So these are the modes of opening the file. First, you can see that this is a R, small r. This is used for reading the file. If you are not providing the mode of the file, so it will consider that you are opening the file for reading mode. So that's why we are written as it is a default mode. Write W to write a file. So when you want to write something into the file, either it is existing or you are creating a new file, so you are opening the file in the write mode. So if the file does not exist, it creates a new file. If it does not exist, and if it is existent, it exists already, so it will be truncating the file. X exclusive function fails if file already exists. A append, so if the file is already there and content is already there and you want to extend it, right? So then the matter will be added at the end of the file. So uh, create it creates the file if does not exist, otherwise it will append at the end of the file. So text mode is there. B is the binary mode. So by default, it is opening your file in the text mode. So if you are using plus sign to open a file for updating, that is reading or writing. So as in the previous example, you can see that we have opened the file with R plus. So one must keep in mind that the mode argument is not mandatory, as we have already discussed. If you are not passing this mode, then the Python will assume it to be the R, means reading mode, right? So, so this is the name of the file, right? And you are providing the read mode. So this is returning you the file object with the name as file. Now what we are doing is we are iterating, right? For each in file, each is a variable, it is a variable. For each in file, this is your file object, right? In the previous example, we have opened the file for reading. These are the these two are the keywords for for loop, right? So this line is clear to all. So for, this is keyword, each, this is variable, this is keyword, this is the file object and the column. So these are the for loop elements. This is the variable that will return you line one by one, and this is the file object, right? So clear about this. And then what you are doing is inside that you have one print statement, print each. So whatever has been read from the file line by one, it will be printing onto the screen. So this will print every line one by one in the file. So the open command will open the file in the read mode. This is the statement for this. And the for loop will print each line present in the file. So this is the code for reading each line and printing onto the screen. Now we are coming to the appending the data to the file, right? So this is how we are opening it. This is A plus. You can append or add a new text to the already, so this is important, already existing file or new file. So if the file you are going to open, it does not exist, it will create a new file. If the file is already there, whatever you are going to add, it will add at the end of the file text. Whatever the text is already there, so it will add the text at the end of the file. So once again, if you could see a plus sign, see in the code, it indicates that it will create a new file if it does not exist. But in our case, we already have the file, so we are not required to create a new file. So here again iterator is there. So these two are your for loop keywords. This is your variable, and range 2 f dot write. So you're going to write inside the file. So appended line, then percentage d means it is picking the from here, right? So I is taking the value from here, so it means it is writing 1 2 3 like that. So this will write the data, into the file in appended mode, right? So we have opened the file with a plus, right? And then we have used the method write for appending new text into the existing file. Right. So to manipulate the file, write the following in the Python environment. So let's see. First we have open. Then you have now opened the file in the write mode. W. We have already seen R, R plus, A plus. Right. So file dot write. This is the write command. So it will display. It will write into the file. This is the write command. The next line it will write, it allows us to write in a particular file. Then you have written 2 lines into the file, and then you are closing the file. Then the close command terminates all the resources in use and frees the system of this particular program. So whatever the resources are being used for file, they will be freed up, right, by using the close method of the file object. So now in this way we have learned about write mode as well. So Python allows you to read, write or delete files. So we are using the function as opening like open file, so W plus. So W plus means if the file is not existent, so it will create a new file. So plus is always reflected like that. To append the data to an existing file, use the file A, append file. Use the read function to read the entire content of the file. You can use read function. Read lines, it will be used to read line one by one. So let's see. First, it is the read mode for reading the file. We are checking, right, whether the file has been opened in a read mode. So we have seen f dot mode, f dot mode. So it will return you the mode of the file in which it has been opened. So as we have opened in the read mode, so it will return you R. So we are checking with the equality operator that whether it is equal to R. If it is equal to R, then what you are doing is you are reading the contents of the file in one go by using the method read. So you can see over here, use the read function to read the entire contents of the file. So whole content of the file will be stored into this variable contents, and then you are going to print the file. So here you can see the example over here when you are going to read the file one by one, right? So here you can see the example. First, you have seen the file object as f, open, name of the file, and here you have the read mode. So if the file mode is R, okay, so what you are doing is contents equal to f dot read. So you have read all the contents and you are printing the contents. So this we have already seen in the previous slide. Now if you want to read line by line, so you are here you have a variable f1 in which the first line will be read by using the method read lines. F was the file object that we have opened uh, over here by in the read mode. So by calling the method read lines, you are reading the first line, and that first line is going into the variable, is being stored into the variable f1. Now for x in f1, right, every character in f1, so print x. So it what it is doing is it is printing x over here, right? So this is how read lines reads the individual lines, right? So here you can see if your text file or data is too big to read, Python allows you to read the data line by line without any complication. So here you can see when you run the code f1 equal to f dot read lines for reading the file or document line by line, it will separate each line and present the file in a readable format. Right. So we have used f dot read, right? So in one go, the matter has been read. Now f dot read lines. So what it has done, it has read the whole content of the file in one go, but separated the file into line by line. So now, if you can recall over here, F1 got all the content of the file in one go, right? But now we are reading the content line by line. So X will represent each line. It will print each line one by one. So in our case, the line is short and readable. The output will look similar to the read mode. But if there is a complex data file which is not readable, this piece of code will be useful to you. Now we are coming to the Python file methods. So we have already seen about close. So we will be looking at again. So close is there, detach is there, file number you want to know, you want to flush out all the resources or data what has been in the buffer. Read is at a read line, readable, seek, read lines, writable, write lines, write, tell, seekable, truncate. So all these methods we will be learning one by one. So coming to close, we have already seen the close. With close, we close a file to free up the resources held by it. When we have opened, we have done the things. Now we do not require a file to be opened. So we should close it so that whatever the resources it is using, it is freed up. So you must always close a file after you are done working with it. Fine. So you must always close a file. Then detach. So this detaches the underlying binary buffer from the text input output base and returns it. So to do dot detach. So this will be the output. Then you are trying to read that because you have already detached it. So you are trying to read it. It will give you error. So this will be value error. Underlying buffer has been detached. After detaching from the buffer, when we try to read the file, it raises value error. File number. So file number returns a file descriptor of the file. So when you are opening the file, there is a file number attached with it, right? That is present in the file descriptor part. So this is an integer value, right? Integer number. So you have opened the file, then you are trying to find the file number using the file object. It has returned to this to do dot file number. So it has returned you the file number. Then method is flush. Flush writes the specified content from the program buffer to the operating system buffer in event of a power cut, right? From program buffer to operating system buffer. So to do dot flush is a at ty. This method's true returns true if the file is connected to TTY like device. So if it is attached to TTY like device, so it will return you true, otherwise it will return you false. So that's why file object dot is at a TTY, so it is returning false. Otherwise, if it is attached, it will return you true. Read n. This lets us read n characters from the file, right? If you want to read specific number of characters from the file, you can mention the number over here inside the read. So read 5. It means 5 characters to read. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has returned you 5 characters. Readable, if the file is open, right, it will be readable. If file is closed, it is not readable. So this returns true if the object is readable. So to do dot readable because the file is open, so you are saying true. To do dot close, so the file has been closed. Now if you are you have opened in the read mode, right, so it will be readable. If you have opened in the append mode or write mode, right, so they are not readable, right, so that's why it will return you false. So here we have, first we have open in the form of read, so it is readable, so true. Then we have closed the file, opened the file in the append mode. You are trying to find whether the file is readable or not. Then it will return you false because it has been opened in a write append mode, right? So that's why you are not able to read, but you are appending some text into the file. So then you are closing the file at the end. Read line, so reads the next line, right? So here by default, if you are putting read line -1, so -1 is the by default value into it. So to do dot read line, so read line 5. So if you are putting 5 into it, it means you want to read 5 characters for that particular line, right? Seek, you are repositioning the cursor to the specified position. Read lines means that you are reading all the lines starting from that position. Seek 0, it means beginning of the file. So then you are reading the whole file. This returns true. Seekable. This returns true if the file stream opens random access. So to do dot seekable, it is true. Tell, it will tell you the cursor position of your position of the cursor in the file, current position of the cursor. Truncate, it resizes the file. You must open your file in a writing mode for using this. We have to this is the file name to do.txt, right? Do.txt or to do size 118 bytes currently, right? So let's currently the file is 118, so you want to resize to 100 bytes. So truncate, it has truncated, so this returns the new size as well. So we even went to our desktop and checked it in resize. So what we can do is you can just recheck it, read it, you can find it. Writable, so this returns true if the stream can be written to. So as it has been opened in a read mode, so it is not in writable, so it is returning false. Write s means how many this method takes string s, right, and writes it to the file. Then it returns the number of characters written. So here you can see you have opened in the append mode, then you have passed one string to write, right? So as 17 characters are there, so 17 characters has been written into it. So then to do dot close. Then write lines. Write lines, write a list of lines to the file, right? So with open this as to do means this file, so this we can say that sort of alias is there. Now you are using to do dot write lines, you are passing on the strings in the form of list over here. So this has list 1 2 3, right? So then you are reading it, so by reading it has displayed the new contents of file where this new strings has been appended at the end. Then you want to check whether the file is closed or not. So here we have used f dot close. No, sorry, f dot closed, right? So it is writing false. Now you have closed it, f dot close. Now you are trying to find it. So it is saying that this is true. So we have seen that f dot closed will return you whether the file is closed or not. So it will return you the boolean value that is either true or false. Then is you want to know about the encoding of the file. So here it will be returning you src underscore file dot encoding. So it will return you the encoding of the file. Then you want to know the mode of the file. So here you can see the condition has been used f dot mode, whether it is read mode or write mode. So this is how you can find the mode of the file, f dot mode. Then you want to get the name of the file. So this is the name object, file object. You can use, like, if the file underscore object, this is the file object. You want to know the name, so dot name. So file underscore object dot name. Then is the topic sending output to the std output using the print method, reading input with the input method. So standard output and standard error, commonly abbreviated as STDOUT, standard output, and standard error, right, are, so look at the terminology, are pipes that are built into every Unix system. When you print something, it goes to the standard output pipe, STDOUT pipe, and when your program crashes and prints out the debugging information, like we have seen trace back every time when the error is occurring, it goes to the std error pipe. So we have two type of pipes, right? First is std out and another is std err. Both of these pipes are ordinarily just connected to the terminal window where you are working. So when a program prints, you see the output. When the program crashes, you see the debugging information. And if you are working on a system with Windows based Python IDE, stdout and stderr default to your interactive window. So let's see, for I in range 3, print dive in, right? So what will be output? Dive in, dive in, dive in. Now you are importing sys. So here sys dot stdout dot write dive in, right? So it will write like this: dive in, no space, dive in, no space, dive in. Then std error similarly, so you are printing to the std error pipeline, again it will print like dive in, dive in, dive in. So here you can see stdout and stdr are both file-like objects, but they are both write only. They have no read method, only write method. Still, they are file-like objects, and you can assign any other file or file-like object to them to redirect their output. Let's see in the other example. So here uh, you have imported sys, right? Then you are printing dive in, save out. This is a variable sys dot stdout, file socket, that is file object, open. You have opened log file in the write mode. Sys dot stdout equal to fsock, right? So print this message will be logged instead of displaying, because now you are not displaying onto the screen, but you are putting this into the, what you have done is, now your standard output becomes your file. This file has become your standard output. So whatever you are printing now, it will go to the file, not onto the display screen. Now sys.stdout equal to save out and fsock.close. So now this will print to the IDE interactive window if there is no redirection. Always save stdout before redirecting it, so you can set it back to the normal later. open a file for writing. If the file does not exist, it will be created. If file does exist, it will be overwritten. I am not saying append, it will be overwritten. Redirect all further outputs to the new file you have just opened. As we have seen earlier, this will be printed to the log file only. It will not be visible in the IDE window or onto the screen. Now, because the output has been redirected to the file. Now again, you are setting back your STDOUT to the way it was before you mucked up with it. And then you are closing the log file. So we have described all these, what we have learned in this example. Then we are coming to the operating system module in Python. The OS module in Python provides functions for interacting with the operating system. Operating system comes under Python's standard utility modules. This module provides a portable way of using operating system dependent functionality. The OS and os.path modules include many functions to interact with the file system. So following are some of the OS modules. First, you want to know about the operating system name. So you will be saying os.name. So you are importing OS, right, module, and then you are printing os.name. So it will display you the name of your operating system. Then get working, current working directory. So os dot get cwd. So it will give you the absolute path of your current working directory, right? And list dir. So it will list you the if you are putting the dot over here. So current working directory, and it will give the directory of that listing of that directory. os.error, all the functions in this module raise os error in the case of invalid or inaccessible file names and paths or other arguments that have the correct type but not accepted by the operating system. So os.error is an alias for the built-in os error exception. Let's see. Import os. Then this is the exceptional handling we will be learning in next lecture. So if the file does not exist, then it will throw an IO error. Suppose this is the name. You are opening the file. You are reading the text. You are closing the file. So print problem reading plus file name. So when the file does not exist, it is not able to read file, it will jump to this part and print the error. So problem reading this file name. So here the OS error has been raised. So this is all about the file handling that we have learned today. So whatever we have learned, kindly implement in your Python environment, whatever you are using, so that you are able to understand how it works. So I am thankful to all the websites from where I have taken the contents. Thank you.